ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಪ್ರವೀಣ್. ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್, ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಆ, ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಪ್ರವೀಣ್ ರಾಮಚಂದ್ರ ಅಂತ. ಟ್ರೈ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಂಘದ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟು ಫಾರ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ 2026 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ 2027. ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಟ್ರೈ ವ್ಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಂಘ ಈಸ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ವೈಬ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಥ್ರೈವಿಂಗ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ. We have hundreds of interest groups created among the members of Tri Valley Kannada Sangha. ಅದು ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಫೈನಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಗಾರ್ಡನಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಹೈಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ದೆರ್ ಆರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಆರ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್, and everybody tries to give back to the community in whatever shape and form they can think of. Um, they share knowledge, they give out without expecting anything, very supporting in all conditions, both in good times and not so good times. Um, our strength, ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂತ್ ಏನಂತಂದರೆ, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಬಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಲ್ಚರಲಿ. We share knowledge and we don't expect anything. This webinar is in that particular series and spirit to share knowledge in the area of real estate with the experts. We have more coming through the year. And before I hand out, thank you for your constant support. I feel incredibly lucky to be part of this community day in and day out. With that said, I will hand it over to Naveen and Girish.
Yeah. Thank you, Praveen. I'm Naveen Sharma. I'm the marketing lead for TVKS. Thank you so much for taking your time during the weekend to attend this webinar and gain a knowledge on what's going on in the current real estate market. You may have various questions as to is the right time to buy. Lot of ad coming in that there are deals going on. Um, um, getting a 3% interest rate for a new home, and a lot of things going on. So there are a lot of questions coming on. Is it a good time to invest in the market and stuff like that? So you need an SME, right, who is a subject matter expert in our area. So this to answer all of these questions, TVKS is organizing this webinar. I'll give an introduction of who our SME is in a couple of minutes. Before we start the program, some housekeeping rules. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾವನ್ನು ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಪರಸ್ಪರ ನೋಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದು ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಸ್ನೇಹಪರ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಂವಾದಿತವಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಇಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿವ್, ರೈಟ್? ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ನಾವು ನೋಡೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಖಗಳನ್ನ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗುಡ್ ಟು ಶೇರ್ ಯುವರ್ faces so that I can identify who you are, and then when we meet each other we can recognize. ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮೈಕ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇಡಲಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಯಾವುದೇ ಅಡಚಣೆಗಳಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ಗಳ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. ಸೆಷನ್ ನಡೆಯುವ ವೇಳೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಬಂದರೆ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ಚಾಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸಮಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದು. ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು Q&A ಸೆಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರಿಸುತ್ತೇವೆ. As we go through the flow, you'll have a lot of questions, so let the questions flow in the group, in the chat, and then Girish will be able to answer at the end of the session. ಇಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಹುಟ್ ಕ್ವಿಜ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಹಲವಾರು ಬಹುಮಾನಗಳನ್ನು ಗೆಲ್ಲುವ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಕೊನೆಯವರೆಗೂ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿ ಗೆಲ್ಲುವ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳನ್ನು ಪಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೈಕ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಆಗ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ನೇರವಾಗಿ ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ಕೇಳಬಹುದು, ಮಾರ್ಲಿನ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ಕೇಳಬಹುದು, ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಬಯಸಿದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ MC ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನು ಕೇಳುತ್ತಾರೆ. With that said, I want to introduce our specialist, ನಮ್ಮ ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್. ಇವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಅತಿಥಿ. ಅವರನ್ನು ಪರಿಚಯಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸಂತೋಷದ ವಿಷಯ. ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಅವರು ಇಂಟ್ರೋ ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಬೇ ಏರಿಯಾ ರಿಯಲ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕಳೆದ 27ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಬೇ ಏರಿಯಾದ ನಿವಾಸಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದು, ಅವರು ಸ್ಥಳೀಯ ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಯ ಆಳವಾದ ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು MBA ಪದವಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಪ್ರೈಸಿಂಗ್, ಖರೀದಾರರು ಮತ್ತು ಮಾರಾಟಗಾರರ ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿತ್ವ ಹಾಗೂ ನೆಗೋಷಿಯೇಷನ್ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಗಳಲ್ಲಿನ ವಿಶೇಷ ಪರಿಣಿತಿಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸಂಯೋಜಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಗ್ರಾಹಕರಿಗೆ $100 ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಮೌಲ್ಯದ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ವ್ಯವಹಾರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ನೀಡಿದ್ದು, ಟಾಪ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್ ಮತ್ತು ಟಾಪ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸರ್ ಗೌರವಗಳಿಗೆ ಪಾತ್ರರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. TVKSಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಅವರ ನಂಟು ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ವಿಶೇಷವಾದದ್ದು. ಅವರು ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ TVKSನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಕ್ರಿಯ ಸದಸ್ಯರಾಗಿದ್ದು, ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಅತ್ಯುನ್ನತ ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕತ್ವದ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ದೀರ್ಘಕಾಲದಿಂದ ಬೆಂಬಲ ನೀಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ವರ್ಷ ಅವರು TVKSನ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು, ತಮ್ಮ ಬೆಂಬಲವನ್ನು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಡೇಟಾ ಆಧಾರಿತ ಸಲಹೆಗಳಿಂದ ಹೆಸರಾಗಿರುವ ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಅವರು ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶಕ ತತ್ವ ಯುವರ್ ಪೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೈ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್, ಅಂದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಃಶಾಂತಿಯೇ ನನ್ನ ವ್ಯವಹಾರದ ಧ್ಯೇಯ. ಇಂದು ಅವರು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಅನಿಶ್ಚಿತತೆಯ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಯನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಸಮರ್ಥವಾಗಿ ನಿಭಾಯಿಸಬಹುದು ಎಂಬುದು ಕುರಿತು ಪ್ರಾಯೋಗಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಉಪಯುಕ್ತ ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳನ್ನು ನಿಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬನ್ನಿ, ಶ್ರೀ ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅವರನ್ನು ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸೋಣ. ಓವರ್ ಟು ಯು, ಗಿರೀಶ್.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Praveen. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I hope everybody here can understand Kannada. If anybody doesn't, please use the react button to raise your hands. So that way I'll speak in English. Otherwise, most of the talk will be in Kannada. Marlene has also learned Kannada in the last 1 week, so she'll be talking in Kannada. Okay, with that said, thank you again for everyone who has joined in today. Being a weekend, you have other things going on in your life, and we all appreciate you making some time, and I hope the time you spend with us will be valuable and well spent. Today we are addressing the topic of real estate given the circumstances, which is unique in the sense there are a lot of uncertainties going around, both economic and immigration related uncertainties, and most of the people here being immigrants, I expect this would be a apt subject. I'm talking in English right now because I'll be handing it over to Marlene, and after that I'll switch to Kannada. Marlene will be talking about loan related aspects and how to deal with it given the uncertainties. Marlene is a loan officer and an advisor for Cross Country Mortgage, which is an in-house lender of Intero Real Estate Fremont. When we say in-house, other than promoting Cross Country Mortgage, there is no business relationship. Under the laws, we are not allowed to have any kind of money transactions going between the organizations, just to let you know. Now I'll hand it over to Marlene. Marlene, please take the stage, and then I will also share the slides related to your talk.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Girish. Thank you all for having me here today. I'm Marlene Rohayam. I am a loan advisor with Cross Country Mortgage, and I have the distinct pleasure of working with Girish as a, lending partner in this business. I've also recently become a Canada expert, as Girish mentioned. But for everyone's sake, I'm going to do this in English.
You can say namaskara, one word.
Namaskara.
Yeah, wonderful. So that means, it's a way of greeting each other
Namaskara.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So today we're just going to talk about some different ways to achieve home ownership or property ownership based on different statuses that are being faced with, right? Whether you have U.S. citizenship, whether you are a foreign national, do you have an I-10, etc. And it's not a one size fits all. So, we're going to go a little deeper into the different ones. So first question that I have for the audience, for all the members participating today is, how many of you here are first-time home buyers? Please react in the chat or put it in the chat. Okay, Varun, I see you. Welcome, Rohit. I hope I said that right. Okay, awesome. So we have some first-time home buyers, and it sounds like maybe we have one or two who already are property owners. Okay, so every family deserves the opportunity to build wealth through home ownership, and I'm here to help you identify how to get there based on your status. Please go to the next slide.
25 people showed up.
Okay, perfect. So if you are living in the US on a temporary visa, I know there's some concerns about job stability, worries about layoffs, etc. We're going to talk about, many people don't know that you can actually purchase a property with as little as 3% down payment if you are on one of these, eligible temporary visas, like an H-1B, for example. And if you have an I-10, you can also purchase with a minimum of 10% down payment based on whether or not your I-10 has established credit history attached to that I-10 number. Basically, if it has been used as a social security number, right? In essence. And if it has not, and it basically is like an empty number when you run a credit report, then you need about, I think, 25 or 30% down typically, but can still, purchase a home that way. Also, pairing with that, sometimes just eliminating going the temporary visa route and purchasing for the purpose of an investment, you can do things like buy a 1 to 4 unit property using a loan that does not use a verification of your income, but rather the income that the property produces. And then you don't need to produce a visa at all, right? So it's really hard to determine what is for you before getting a whole layout of each person's individual income, credit, status, type of property, and also, very importantly, the intention of how you plan to use that property, whether it is a principal residence that you're going to live in, whether it is a second home, like a vacation home, or something that you rent out part of the time and go in and stay in part of the time, or if it is a true investment property in which you are just, using for rental purposes only. Homeownership still remains one of the most effective long-term wealth building tools available to many families. And so, as you see, the purpose of it is, number one, it creates stability. You never have to worry about your payment changing, right? Or your home changing unless you want it to. You're building equity over time, which increases your wealth, right? Helps you build a legacy for you and your family, and gives you a place, a place to plant your flag, so to speak. And, real quick, I want to touch on a recent stat that I learned of, which is that the average renter has a lifetime net worth of about $40,000. Sorry, I take that back. $10,200. I misspoke. And the average homeowner builds a net worth of approximately $400,000. Huge difference. Now, some common assumptions about why you can't qualify for a home is if you're on an I-10, like we talked about, or a temporary visa, or recently moved to the US and you don't know where to start, right? Makes sense. So the first thing we have to do is diagnose it, almost like when you go to the doctors and you need to, find out what's going on with you. You have to get a full picture of how you've been making your money, what is the income source and frequency, right, for 2 years. Also, I recently learned that if you have job history in your home country or in a foreign country, you can still apply that towards the proof of the 2-year employment history, depending on the loan program. And so there's certain things that you don't lose by moving or by starting here in terms of the purchase process. And program requirements, of course, are going to vary by person, right? So we want to identify what is your current income situation and frequency. Is it self-employed? Is it somewhere where you have a job where you receive a pay stubs and W-2? What is your current status, right? How much money do you have saved up? Not just for the purpose of purchasing the property, but how much do you have in reserves? Right. And when I say the reserves, I mean like the total housing payment. Let's say that it is $5,000 a month. Okay. Do you have, let's say, 3 to 6 months of that can help you, bridge the gap if, God forbid, the unforeseen happened and you did lose your job? Do you have other family members who are going to be contributing to the monthly payment or to the purchase of the property? Those are some things that I encourage you all to think about because it's part of the decision-making process. If you did have to, go back to your country temporarily to get, visa renewals or certain things, do you have someone here who you can trust to take care of the property and the things if you had to be away for a while? What else? If the payment is affordable to you today and you can see yourself in it for, I would say, 1 to 3 years, then I think you should really, really take a strong look at it, because what we've noticed is that a lot of people have missed out on equity opportunities by waiting to purchase. And I should go ahead and address the elephant in the room, the rates, right? The rates are higher than people want. And so that makes the payment higher, right? But there are certain things that you can do. For example, we offer things like a temporary rate buy down, where if your current rate is, let's say, 6%, you can have an introductory interest rate of, let's say, 2% below that. So for the first year that you own your home, you'll be making your whole payment based on a 4% interest rate. And then year 2, it will graduate to a 5% interest rate. And then by year 3, now you're paying at the rate of somewhere in the 6s, which is still the rate that you are locked in from initially. I spoke a little bit about why home ownership, right? There are also some tax benefits in addition to just the wealth accumulation. I'm not a tax advisor, but please do, consult with an expert tax advisor to understand some of the other benefits with home ownership and property ownership. We touched a little bit about on the mortgage basis, what are some of the things that you need to have, available for a loan pre-approval, right? Which is basically the preliminary process of figuring out what you qualify for, what type of loan program, and what are the minimum qualifications from credit score, down payment requirement, credit requirements, etc. And that will allow us to basically find our path, right? Are you staying in this property temporarily? Do you plan to live in it for long term? Do you want to buy it for the purpose of just investment, right? To own property in the US and have it, accumulate either equity over time or some type of monthly cash flow based on the rental income. And so those are the things that will help prepare you for success. And I am here to walk you through that every step of the way, whenever you're ready. You got to have a strong checklist. You have to know what your intention is for the property and get all of the factors figured out so that you know what you're jumping into before you make any big decision. Mortgage terms made simple. So for those who have never purchased a home before, I'll just quickly run over this. PITIA is an acronym that we use heavily in the mortgage business. It stands for principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and the A stands for association dues. If you purchase a condominium, a townhome, or a planned unit development like a tract home in a community where there are homeowner association dues. And that is the total of the housing payment that you will have to qualify for when applying for a mortgage loan.
Switch to the next slide. Let me know, Miriam, when you want me to switch.
Yes, please switch.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I kind of jumped ahead earlier, but let's look at this. Before you shop, you got to know your financing path. Let's review your credit. We have to understand not just the score, but the history. Do you have a significant amount of, or a sufficient rather, an amount of trade lines, right? Things like credit cards, installment debt, like a car loan. Do you have student loans? What are the minimum payments? How long have these accounts been established for? There are certain criteria that have to be met on these trade lines, not just the credit score. We have to verify the income. If you are self-employed, we have some different programs like bank statement loans that allow us to add up all of your deposits and take a percentage of that as an average and use it as if it's your monthly income, right? Treat it as your monthly income. In other cases, we're just looking at your W-2s and pay stubs over the last year or 2 years. In other cases, we're looking at full tax returns to see, what is your net income after filing them for 2 years in a row. So it's not a one size fits all, and we can get into more detail on an individual one-on-one basis if you have any further questions. And then we've got to map our funds out. So again, down payment is the amount that you're going to come in with that is going to match with what the bank gives you to total 100% of the purchase price. So for example, $1 million purchase price, 20% down would be $200,000, and then the bank would loan you $800,000. So $800,000 plus the $200,000 equals the $1 million. That covers 100% of your purchase price, and then you still have things like closing costs, right, that come in addition that you have to plan for and pay for in addition to your down payment when you purchase a home. Okay, the closing costs can come from your own bank account reserves. They can come from gift funds from family or friends. They also can be negotiated by an amazing real estate agent like Girish here, who, can ask for it as a credit from the seller of the property that you are looking to purchase. And then we talked about reserves, especially if you are in a situation of uncertainty of being able to stay here or manage the payments. In the case of a job loss, something like that, you really want to make sure that you have some kind of money put aside so you can at least handle a few months' payments if you did have a job loss. And speaking on that, I have been brainstorming on more ideas. And so I'm going to go a little deeper real quick. So in the event you have a job loss, let's say maybe you've got 3 months reserves. Now you've exhausted those 3 months of savings to cover your mortgage payment. Well, the bank doesn't want you to lose your home. So there's more things that you can do. You can call them. You can say, I'm having a hardship. I need to apply for a forbearance. And in many cases, the lender will give you anywhere between, 1 and 6 months at a time of putting the payment as a deferment. And then you will not have to pay it immediately. They may move it to the back of the loan. Okay. Another thing that you can apply for, which will be damaging to your credit, because you will have to have it made late payments typically by then, or missed payments. But you can ask them to apply for a loan modification and see if there's a way that they can reduce the existing loan payment, you know? So there's things that you can do and paths you can take before you just give up and say, oh my gosh, I have to sell the home. I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. The other thing you can do is explore the possibility of renting out a property, right? And I don't want to talk about things in such a negative way, but just thinking about mapping out your funds also means mapping out what to do if certain unforeseen circumstances happen. Okay. I think we lost the slide.
I think that was the end.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Marlene. Appreciate it. I know the time we have for each of the segments is pretty short to cover every scenarios and situations. The intent was to give you an idea about what one can do with regards to their home purchase or home selling during the uncertainties, and we may not have been able to cover every scenario. As far as the loan and lending part is concerned, if anyone has further questions specifically related to their situation, you can always reach out to Marlene. You can, in the slide there was her contact information, but I'm happy to send it over to you in case you need to further discuss your situation with her. So there are situations where you need to talk to a lender even if you want to sell a house because you want to incentivize the buyers given today's market. So there are ways to do that. So it's not just for buyers. Sellers also can get some value out of it. With that said, I'll move on to my section. But before we get to my section, we have a quiz and a winner. A prize to be given for that. So let me open it up. Give me a second. Okay, so the first question here, it's more like a survey question, is just to get you acclimatized to how to, participate in the quiz. And the next question is actually going to be the one which will get you a prize. So let me start off with that. And I will explain to you how to do it. And if anybody, okay, let me run it and then I'll explain it as it runs.
Yeah, so Girish, we are only seeing Marlene at this time, not anything being shared.
Yeah, I will get to that. I'm still working on that.
Okay, just wanted to keep you posted.
Yeah. So in your chat boxes, you would have got a link to join. But anyway, there is one more way to do it. So let me start it. And Praveen, let me know once I say, can you see it? Maybe you can tell me whether you see it or not. Can you see it?
It's asking for a game pin.
Yeah. But can you see the screen?
Yeah, now we are seeing it.
Okay. So that's the first thing. Okay. Let me start. Okay. Can you see the game pin there? 807032. Anybody? Can somebody respond to that question? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we can see, and
Okay. And I can
people can
see
also answer them even in the chat box. They can click on it and then enter the game from the Zoom itself, just as an FYI.
Yeah. So how this works is basically for every quiz, there will be a game pin, same website, a different game pin. So you enter that and it will ask you for a nickname. Please don't enter any nickname, enter your real name, because if you do win the prize, we want to make sure we know who it should go to. And then once I have enough participants here, I will start the quiz. You'll see the questions on your screen and 4 potential answers. Only one would be correct, except for the first question. It's a survey just to get you started. Okay, so you may be able to answer more than once there. I don't know how I set it up. Okay, let me start this. So again, this is a survey question, not a prize winning question. So you'll get 20 seconds to answer. Wonderful. So we got answers. So those who were able to get in. So this is the question for which you get a prize. Wonderful. We got 9 correct answers of all the 9 people who voted. Congratulations, Pratima. Naveen, can you please write down the winner's name or just jot it down so that way. Naveen?
Yes, I'm jotting it down.
Okay, okay. Wonderful. So that's the quiz, and hope the second and third quiz people will be able to quickly join in, given that you may be new to how to use this. Okay, with that said, let me switch over to my part of the segment. Give me a second. Okay, I'll switch to Kannada now. ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆಯಾ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನು? ಕಾಣ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ನಾನು ಲೇಸರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟರ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಥವಾ ಲೈಕ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸರ್ಕಲಿಂಗ್? ಕಾಣ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಓಕೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಈ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಕು ನಾನು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಏನು ಕಾಣ್ಬರ್ತಿದೆ ನಾನು ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಎನ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಯಾವುದು ಉಪಯುಕ್ತ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ನ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ನನ್ನ ಸೆಗ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ 1 ನಿಮಿಷ 2 ನಿಮಿಷ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ದಂಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ನೇಬರ್ಹುಡ್ಡು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗನ್ಸೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಯಾರಾದರೂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು?
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಗಿರೀಶ್.
ಹೇಳಿ ಗಿರೀಶ್.
I think it is getting better. Opportunities to buy more or the first house. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay. Yeah, that's absolutely right, and I can go deeper into that. ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರಾದರೂ do you see any contrary thing to what Girish
ನನ್ಗನ್ಸೋ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಗಾದೆ ಇದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಐದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೀಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿನ್ ಅಂತ. If you talk to people who are in, say, San Francisco AI companies, for them, like, okay, finding a good house is more important. But for many others, a lot of uncertainty. Even though they can scrape through the initial buying part of it, they don't know what's kind of going to happen going forward. for their job situation. So we see both sides.
True. Okay, fine. So let me move forward. First disclaimer, of course, ಏನೇ ನಾನು ಈ ವೆಬಿನಾರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸಿದ್ರು, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಎಜುಕೇಷನಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ. ನಾನು ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವು ವಿಚಾರಗಳು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಲೀಗಲ್, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್, ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಆರ್ ಲೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಆರ್ ಇಮಿಗ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್, ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ದಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದಟ್ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟ್ ಎ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫೈಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ like an attorney or a tax consultant or anybody in that field. That's the disclaimer. Okay. Naveen and Girisha, thank you for your feedback. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಯೋಚಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಎನಿ ಸಿಚುವೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್, ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ we have to understand what environment we are in. And I like to do it in a top-down approach. Let's look at the larger picture, big picture, and then boil down to what is happening around me. ಈ ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನನ್ನ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಆ ಥರನೇ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಸೊ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್, ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ ಸೇಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್ in the real estate, residential real estate market. Real estate andre ಬೇಕಾದಷ್ಟಿದೆ, talking specifically about residential real estate market. So we'll first look at national real estate market information, then we'll go down to California and see what's happening in California. Then we will look at local market. ನಮಗೆ ಟ್ರೈ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಂಘಕ್ಕೆ local market ಅಂದರೆ I picked 3 cities, Pleasanton, Dublin and San Ramon. And then there is some variation also happening between how single family homes behave versus condos and townhomes. Adar baggenu ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡೇಟಾ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. And then given all those market information, market data information, and also the uncertainties, which is the topic of the day, what should be the decision framework for a buyer or a seller or a existing homeowner. So that is how this webinar is formulated. So let's dig deeper into that. So ಏನೇ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳೋದು most of the time is based on data. I rarely try to give opinions ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ I clearly say it's my opinion. You can take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, so let's go to what is actually driving the market today. Right? What are the drivers, like whether it's taking the market up or down or sideways, what is contributing to it anta. So there are 5 drivers I have recognized here in this slide. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾನು ಆರೋ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ because those are important in today's scenario. ಒಂದು, number of jobs added. This is for the national idu. $57,000 were added non-farm payroll roles in June. $57,000, keep in mind, is way less than what is considered a normal economic market, where it is anywhere from 150 to 200,000 jobs added. Andre, number of jobs added is much smaller than a normal market, which means the job market is weak. Okay, that is one thing. And the unemployment rate at 4.2% is also not very strong. In the sense, employment rate is not strong. Inflation is around 3.5%. The Federal Reserve would love to keep it at 2%. 3.5% is also a little higher than what they would like to. And the mortgage rate is 6.55%. Again, mortgage rates necessarily not the major contribution to any changes in the market. It may happen temporarily, like suddenly if the interest rate goes up, that it happened in 2022. Everybody becomes scared, and then the real estate market becomes slow, and then soon after people get used to the new rate, the new normal, and then they start coming back to the market. I've seen this repeatedly whenever there is some big movement in the interest rate. However, from an affordability perspective, this does affect andre monthly payment, right? So there are people who are going to be worried. So the major drivers are these five, and the weak spots here are the job market as of today. Let's look at the national housing snapshot. Again, what's happening in the housing market. ಇದರಲ್ಲೂ ನಾನು 2 ಐಟಮ್ನ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಒಂದು, year over year from 2025 to 2026, how many homes in percentage terms change happened, right? So year over year, the number of homes sold in 2026 from January to June compared to 2025 January to June was up by 3.3%, which means even though what you see around you in general may look like a slow market, it is slow market, I'm not disputing that, but it is not a dead market. It's not like homes are not selling, because you can see nationally the number of homes sold increased by 3.3%. This is for single family homes. However, the contrast is with condos and townhomes. They declined, the number of sales declined compared to 2025. So they are much weaker in terms of sales compared to single family homes. So the difference is like 6%, right? The delta between these two. So I am sure if anybody has been observing what's happening, if they have a townhome or a condo for sale up in your neighborhood, probably that sale sign would be up for a long time. That's the national snapshot of what's happening in the market. Sales are there, not dead, but there is a contrast between single family homes and condos and townhomes. Now let's go a little deeper and get into California. So California ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, same numbers, let's look at it. Single family homes, number of homes sold compared to 2025 first half to 2026 first half is up by 6%. Andre, it's much better performance than what is happening in the national market. And 6% more homes got sold in the first half of this year for single family. That's that's not a dead market. And condos and townhomes also, the number of homes sold in California increased by 4.4%. Less than single family homes, but definitely a positive number. So again, homes are getting sold, right? The question here is, if homes are selling at a much higher rate than what it was in 2025, the perception is, or the reality is different, right? I mean, the homes are actually taking a little longer to sell, and prices are also not at the level it used to be in the past. So if more homes are selling, why are the prices seem to be dampening a bit? The reason is the balance between supply and demand. There are more homes for sale today compared to the buyer pool, and because of which there is a price pressure. Okay, now let's look at the comparison between what's happening nationally in California and then the 3 cities that I've picked for our comparison. Now we are looking at single family homes price. Previously 3.3% increase on single family homes nationally was the number of homes sold. Now we are looking at the median price. Median price in US increased year over year by 1.8%. California less by 0.4%. Again, this is for single family homes. Pleasanton 1.1%. Dublin came down by close to 7%, and San Ramon by 9.4%. So you can see variations within cities which are next to each other. Pleasanton was more or less same price, median price, whereas Dublin and San Ramon went negative. And how about the condos and townhomes? Again, let's go to Pleasanton, Dublin, and San Ramon. Again, we are comparing the price. Condos and townhomes in all the 3 cities, negative growth compared to last year. The biggest hit is San Ramon. It came down by 31%. Next is Pleasanton by 8% and Dublin by 1%. Now, why these are behaving differently from each other, each city and single family homes versus condos, why are they behaving differently? Of course, it all depends on the dynamics of the city, what kind of buyers end up buying homes in those cities, and what kind of homes are available in those cities. For example, I can say in Dublin, the condos and townhome prices had less negative effect compared to San Ramon and Pleasanton. One reason is uh, most first-time home buyers tend to be within these three cities, tend to be uh, geared towards Dublin because of various reasons. Availability of condos and townhomes is much more compared to Pleasanton and San Ramon, so there is more supply of those homes. Easy connection to BART, many of them surrounding the BART station, and also the price point, right? Because they are condos and townhomes, the price point is lower. So first-time home buyers have more ability to go and purchase a house there. That's why the demand or the buyer pool is more there, and that's why you see the dip in condos and townhome prices there is less compared to Pleasanton and San Ramon. Okay. What is happening to the trend? So this is basically whatever I discussed data before. I'm looking at a big picture in a graph format. Take this graph just to understand the trend rather than looking at the absolute numbers. So one way to look at the trend is, okay, let's look at the San Ramon trend, ಈ amber color line graph. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗು ಸಮ್ಮರ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದ ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ಗೋ ಅಪ್, ಓಕೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೆರ್ ಆರ್ ಮೋರ್ ಬಯರ್ಸ್ ಅರೌಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಟು ಬೈ. And then after spring and summer, it comes down. We are looking at 2024 here. Then it comes down. Then again, it starts picking up for the next spring, summer. This is 2025. And then it falls down, okay? Then again in 2026, it went up during spring, summer. So you see a seasonal trend, okay? Spring, summer prices go up because there are more buyers in the market. And then fall and winter, it comes down. The other thing I noticed is the peaks, right? So when it went up in 2024, it went up to $2 million. Then it came down. And when it went up again in 2025, it did not go up to $2 million. It just saturated here. So lower than what happened in 2024. This is 2025. And what we are seeing in 2026 is also same. It did go up during spring, and we are still in summer, so I don't know what will happen further down. But assuming this is around the range it will stay, it did not go up to the 2025 level of peak. So yes, it is going up, but it is not going up as much as it used to in the past year. Same thing, when you look at 2025, it did go up, it did not go as high as it went up in 2024. So these are things for you to observe, like how the housing market behaves, because the common thought process is, oh, when it is spring and summer, it will go high. Yeah, it will, but compared to what? Compared to maybe January or December of last year. But compared to spring or summer of last year, it has not gone as high. Okay, so that's how the market is behaving in those three Tri-Valley cities. That the previous graph was for single family homes. Now we are looking at condos and townhomes. Similar pattern, spring, summer, prices go up and then they come down. Again, they go up in 2025, come down. Again, it has gone up in 2026. And some part of time it will come down. And you can see the behavior is different. Of course, the peak rise for 2025 and 2024 is more or less the same. 2026, it has not gone up to this level. So the softness you see in the market can be observed in the graph here. Okay, this is just a bar graph of whatever I discussed earlier, how the median price change happened compared to first half of 2026 and 2025. I think there's nothing much to explain here than what I'd actually talked about earlier. The other thing to look at is how long is it taking for homes to get into contract after they become active. The blue bar graph, okay, this is for 2026 first half. yeah, 2026 first half. The blue bar graph is for single family homes. Okay, this is for Pleasanton, Dublin, San Ramon, and the amber color bar graph is for condos and townhomes for each of those cities. And as you can clearly see, condos and townhomes are taking more time to get into contract. This is median, right? So there are homes which are taking longer than those days, and there are homes that are selling lesser than those. So you can clearly see the condos and townhomes are taking more time to sell. And then this again represent what is the median sale to list price. Andre list price gu sale price gu ratio estiде anta. And more or less in all the three cities, again this is median. Single family homes are selling at the list price, whereas condos and townhomes are selling less than the list price. So all this information, right, gives you the data-based interpretation of what is happening in the market, not just a feeling of what you see, but actually what is the data saying. So this is a current plus currently active and pending home snapshot for each of the cities separated by single family homes and condos. So you can see the number of homes active is around 80 listings in Pleasanton, single family homes, and the number of homes pending is probably around 35. So essentially there are more homes active. What is the thing that you can take away from this slide is that there are more homes active than those which are going into contract. So which means there is an overflow of active homes month over month if the trend continues. Okay, so that's the thing to keep in mind from this graph, right? If you were to look at the similar graph in 2020, late 2020 or 2021, probably you would see the number of pending homes would have been more or less the same as the active homes, which means houses come on the market and they go into contract quickly within a week. That is not happening today. The question is, why do condos and townhomes behaving differently from single family homes? Multiple reasons. Just to lay it out, condos and townhomes have a higher cost with the HOA into picture, preferences of people wanting to have an independent house with a backyard or side yard. Those come into picture. More condos and townhomes are on the market, so there's more supply. And condos and townhomes are also facing other issues related to financing because of a couple of incidents that happened, one in Florida and one in Berkeley, California, where, I think the condo units structurally fell apart, and the cities took action where they made it mandatory to fix few things before they can issue an occupancy certificate even to existing condos and townhomes, which effectively meant the lenders became sensitive to the condos and townhomes condition. So their financing is now going through, their financing of condos and townhomes is now going through additional layer of scrutiny. So getting loans is not easy, or they are at a higher interest rate, etc. So all those things are factoring in, and those who already own a condo or townhome are having difficulty selling it because of these hurdles. Okay, and then homes are coming to the market, not selling, and adding to the inventory, and that is why you see the slowness in the condos and townhomes compared to single family homes. Okay, before I step to the next segment, let's run another Kahoot quiz if you're all ready. And of course, please keep keep your questions coming, okay, on the chat box.
ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಅವರೇ, ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ನು. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲಿವರ್ಮೋರ್ ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ನು ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟು ನೋ ವೆದರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಡೇಟಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಲಿವರ್ಮೋರ್ ಡೇಟಾನು ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ. ಅಂದರೆ ಐ ನೋ ಯು ಆರ್ not included in this presentation, but by any chance ಇದೆಯಾ data?
ಈ ನನ್ನ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಶ್ರೀದೇವ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಟು ಶೇರ್ ದಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಟು ಯು ಲೇಟರ್ ಆನ್. And then, and if everybody from Livermore have registered themselves, I'll be happy to share it with you. And then, of course, anybody has questions related to those data, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer those.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Give me 1 second.
Girish, a time check. We are at 11:30 now.
Yeah, I checked that. So I'll try to finish the next segment quickly. What's happening? I did a complete rehearsal of how to run this Kahoot without wasting time, and here I am stuck again with that. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, there I go. Okay, I'll go to question 2. ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆಯಾ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನು?
Yeah, you can see a screen, and it's not asking for a pin again, Girish.
Okay. Awesome. Good to know that.
And I'm using the chat in the Zoom itself after you press the.
Okay. Okay, I'll give another 10 seconds if anybody wants to join. Okay, I'll start now. Congratulations, Uma. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Thank you for participating, Elrigu. Okay. So, iduvargu navu we looked at the market from a national California and 3 cities in Tri-Valley, and got a feeling of what is happening in the market, right? How single family homes are behaving, how condos and townhomes are behaving. Now, for a buyer, right, what are the things to do in general, irrespective of what the external circumstances are, irrespective of what the uncertainties are. How should a buyer think about buying a house? So this is something ನಾನು ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, all my buyers. First, you need to know why you want to buy a house, right? I mean, not because of peer pressure or what is happening around you. You should know really, like, ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಮನೆ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ತೊಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕು ನಿಮಗೆ, ಮನೆ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ರೆಂಟಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಮು, ರೈಟ್? ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಎನಿ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ that will be better off or worse off buying a home? Or are there intangible reasons, right? Buying a home maybe gives you a sense of achievement or whatever it is. So you should know why you want to buy a house. So once you know, or ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಂತು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ, then comes the next step is whether you are financially ready to buy a house, right? Having a desire is one thing, having a solid reason why you want to buy a house is one thing, but then having financial readiness is another thing. So this is where you need to look at your financial readiness, and that is where you need to talk to lender and understand, given your personal circumstances, what is going to be your qualification, how much purchase price you can do, and how does it align with your monthly budget, right? Lender may tell you you are approved for $2 million of a home purchase, okay, and with 20% down payment, and that may come with a monthly tag, PITIA, which Marlene spoke about earlier, principal, interest, taxes, insurance and association fee if there is an association fee. So ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬಡ್ಜೆಟ್ಗೆ ನೋಡಿ, $2 million ಅವ್ರು ಅಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಂತ್ಲಿ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಲೆಂಡರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬಡ್ಜೆಟ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಫಿಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಲೆಂಡರ್ ಸೇಸ್ $2 million, ಡೋಂಟ್ ಗೋ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ a $2 million home, okay? And I go through all those details during my buyer consultation. I have my own cash flow analyzer software calculator, which I built myself. I run through the scenarios, and then I also have a budget estimation calculator, and adu nane create ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. And then I want you to go through that budget estimation calculator and determine you are satisfied that buying a home is not going to put undue monthly pressure on you, payment pressure. Buying a home should be elevating your lifestyle. Buying a home should not stress you out month by month because you ended up buying something beyond your means, and now you are trying to make it happen every month and it's stressing you out. That should not be the reason why you should buy a house, okay? It should make your life a little bit better. The financial readiness ಆದಮೇಲೆ next thing I always want before even considering buying a house is have an idea of your ownership timeline. How long can you hold a house? Non-typical, this is where my opinion with a little bit of data comes into picture, is if you can, dataನು ಇದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ, ಬರೀ ನನ್ನ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, if you can have a clear path of holding the property at least 8 to 10 years, then you will be able to ride out any ups and downs in the market, okay? So you don't have to worry about, oh my God, market is down, but you have to sell the house, because eventually over the time horizon, you would have gone through the cycle, and most likely, if not for anything, inflation itself would have made the prices higher than what you paid for. So most often you won't end up losing money. You'll probably end up making more money. Now, the typical response I get when I tell people 8 to 10 years, and how can we decide 8 to 10 years today, right? We don't have visibility what will happen in the future. And I'm sure that is the right answer, because nobody can decide what will happen in 8 to 10 years. But what I'm hinting at is there anything that is already happening in their lives which can come in the way of holding the property long term? Maybe their job situation, right? Especially if they're on temporary visa, how is their job going, or their department, how is it performing within their company, or how their company is performing? You have some visibility to it. How secure is that scenario anta? And even if for some reason something bad happens and you don't end up losing a job, you should know, like, how quickly can you find another job based on your background, your experience and expertise, and also the market for that kind of a job. So that's one reason, one thing you can be aware of in terms of holding the property long term. The second thing is, of course, your visa, immigration related situation, right? If you're an H1B, I-140 clear ಆಗಿದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ, green card ಆಗಿದೆಯೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ, all those things matter. How uncertain or certainty is there given what is happening in the country today? Do you think any of those issues can hurt you, right, in terms of holding the property long term? That visibility also you can perceive, right? You can't plan exactly, but at least you can perceive. And the third thing, especially ನಮ್ಮಂಥವ್ರಿಗೆ, immigrants-ಗೆ, is the fact that ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ಲಿ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿರುತ್ತೆ. So if parents are aged in India and they need help and you may not have siblings or support in India to take care of them, then will that become a factor for you? Maybe you have to move back to the country to take care of your parents. So is that a possibility? So all those things you can visualize. At the end of the day, you make the decision, right? I can't make decisions. So, but I definitely think answering these questions, one, though, why do you want to buy a house? Second, are you financially ready? Third, can you hold a property long term? And can you hold a property long term? I brought up 3 corollary questions. What can come in the way of holding the property long term? One is your job situation. Other one is the immigration related issues. And third is your parent situation in India. Okay. Buyer affordability, I won't go into this. Of course, what I'm trying to say here is, right, as the interest rate increases, your monthly payment increases, and you got to be aware of that, especially those people who are considering buying a house on 7-1 ARM or 5-1 ARM or 10-1 ARM. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಯೋಚಿಸಿ, ಆರ್ಮ್ ರೇಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀರಾ ಈಗ. ಇಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಅಫೋರ್ಡಬಲ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ಮ್ ರೇಟ್ ಯು ಗಾಟ್, ಬಟ್ ಯು ಗಾಟ್ ಟು ಥಿಂಕ್, do you have enough time for you to refinance and get into a 30-year fixed rate within that time period? Do you expect refinancing will happen? Adala yochisi. Don't just buy based on the rate you get for arm rate today. Unless you expect your life situation will change, maybe you'll have more salary at the time, more RSUs, more bonuses, and you know very well that you can afford to pay any future potential hike in the interest rate. Buy now or wait. Basically, I've got a grid here. Please go through the grid. I don't want to spend too much time explaining it. If you want to wait, what can happen? Scenario: rates may fall, rates stay high, prices may soften, prices may rise. What are the pros and cons related to that? So when you want to decide between buying now or waiting, you look at all those pros and cons. My point is, I typically advise people, given the current circumstances, if all the 3 questions I asked earlier slide are such that you can comfortably afford to buy it. Don't worry about what will happen to the housing market 3 months from now or 3 years from now. Because eventually, if your time frame is 8 to 10 years, like I said, doesn't matter what happens 3 months or 6 months or 3 years from now, you will not end up in a problem. You cannot control the external forces. You can keep a tab on your internal situation and then make a decision. So I don't get into prediction of what will happen, because I don't think anybody can accurately predict. Even top economists, with all the computing power and data they have not been able to make any consistent prediction. They might have made 1 or 2 right predictions, but if you look at the history, they wouldn't have, because there are a lot of factors that weigh in and how the general economy behaves and how a real estate market behaves, and nobody has control over that. For example, when COVID happened, first of all, who expected COVID? Second, who expected such an impact of COVID worldwide? And then while this was happening, who thought housing market will shoot up post-COVID? I definitely did not, right? And I don't know if anybody did. So there are variables which we can't predict, right? So you have to look at your internal situation. That is the idea I'm saying, not at the external situation. Again, this is for visa holder, right, or somebody who is on a temporary visa. These are the questions you should ask yourself before you plan to buy, right? Again, can one income carry the payment for 6 to 12 months? Could travel stamping delay create issues for you to return back to the country or job continuity? Is the plan dependent on quick green card movement? If you already own a house and you have issues with the visa or green card, can the property in the given condition be quickly sold or rented quickly if you can rent it and get a positive or break-even cash flow? And how much cash remains after closing? These are all the things, whether you're a buyer, the first 3 questions, or whether you're a homeowner or a potential seller, the next 2 questions. And what to look for, right? So you asked a stress question, and then what are the data saying? June jobs, like I said, is 57K jobs added, which is a significantly lower number of hiring than what is considered a normal market. Okay. Seller strategies, right? So again, every time when somebody wants to buy or sell a house, whether today or in the past or in the future, there will be a specific set of external circumstances that will be driving the market at that time. And every time a seller or buyer will have this question on their head: is this a good time to buy, or is this a good time to sell? Okay. And this is not an uncommon question. So when you as a seller want to sell a house, because of whatever circumstances, right, your personal life changes might have happened, any 100 factors why you want to sell a house, you want to look at like how best to sell it. So instead of it lingering on the market, you can sell it quickly and get the best price. What the data says is, if the house sells within, the blue graph is for single family homes, then the amber is for condo townhomes. If the house sells within 7 days, which means the house has been presented very well, it's in a great location, very desirable, and then it has also been priced for that market. Okay, we should not look back in 2020, 21 and say, oh, another house sold at this price, so I want to sell it at this price. That was in the past. Today it is different. So you have to price it appropriately and then see, okay, with all the things as a seller, if you have taken care, right? Preparing the house, presenting the house, making sure you hire a good agent who understands your situations and guides you appropriately, and you priced it well, you will definitely sell it more than the asking price as the data shows here, right? But if it takes longer because of various factors, it could take longer, most likely due to wrong pricing, higher pricing than market is willing to pay, or other reasons, right? Nothing under your control. Maybe it's a condo townhome which has a problem because the city is not willing to issue the occupancy certificate if certain things are not corrected, and most lenders are not financing it. This is beyond your control, right? And that could be one of the reasons why it is not selling. Assuming the factors of sale is within your control, and if you're not done the right thing, then what happens when it stays on the market longer? It sells for less than the asking price, listing price. Okay. Again, this is a decision framework, sell, wait, or rent for a seller, right? This is a seller decision framework. These are some of the things for you to consider, and I've given what data to use to measure. For example, if your option is to rent it, you think, okay, is the property rentable? Is the cash flow reserve profile works, right? I can say if anybody bought a property from 2021 onwards, you would have probably, especially 2022 and post 2022, you would have probably got a higher interest rate than what people used to have, less than 3% rate. And the price also would have been, purchase price would also have been higher. Eventually, the rent you get is not going to be enough to cover your expenses. So if anybody is considering renting a house, you will definitely have to worry about negative cash flow. And for any reason, even India move ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಬಂತು, but you don't want to sell it now because you're not getting the price you want, or you may be losing money, please think about it. ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಆ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ವರಿ ಅಬೌಟ್, ಓಕೆ, can you sustain that negative cash flow with an Indian salary? And even if you can, how long can you sustain? And even if you can sustain it for a year or two by renting the property, what is the guarantee that in a year or two the prices will go up and potentially whatever you lost on a monthly basis with a negative cash flow, you make up with the appreciation? I think that's a huge risk factor. If you're lucky, maybe it will turn out in your favor. But for me, it's a huge risk decision. Okay, last slide.
Sorry to bother you, but the time check, it's 11:50.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So this is the last slide. Yeah. Okay, so checklist finally, decision making. Again, buyer questions, have seller questions here. Please go through it. I'll skip through this slide in terms. I won't go through each of those questions because we want to have at least 10 minutes for a Q&A. But at the end of the day, here is the bottom line I'm saying here. Do not make a permanent real estate decision based only on a temporary headline. But do not ignore risk specific to your finances, employment, visa status, or prototype. This is very important. People get scared with all the headlines they see, and either they decide not to buy, or maybe there is a FOMO effect, fear of missing out, and they start jumping into the market. To me, that's a risky way of making a decision. Look at your internal situation and make a decision. Okay, with that, I think I completed, let me see. Yeah, I completed all the segments I needed to cover. Let me quickly do, my God, let me see again, Kahoot problem. One last Kahoot question, and then we should be done.
In the meantime, if people want to ask questions on the chat.
Hi Girish, ಮಲ್ಲೇಶ್ ಇದು.
ಹೇಳಿ ಮಲ್ಲೇಶ್.
ಇದು ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ದು ಟ್ರೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಡೌನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಟ್ರೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏರಿಯಾ ವೈಸ್ ಈಗ ಸ್ಯಾನ್ ರೋಮನ್, ಡ್ಯಾನ್ವೆಲ್, ಪ್ಲೆಸೆಂಟನ್, ಲಿವರ್ಮೋರ್ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕ್ರಾಶ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದಾಗ ಅವಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಡೌನ್ಫಾಲ್? ಈಗ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ವೈ ಐ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇಸ್, ಈಗ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಎನ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟರ್, ಇಫ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಬೈ ಅ ಹೌಸ್ ಇನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಟೆಕ್ ಆರ್ ಲ್ಯಾಥ್ರೋಪ್ ಆ ಥರ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ that fear is always there, because if it falls like 5% in San Ramon andre al Manteca Latropoli, what I have heard, which I don't know, that's the reason I'm asking, it might fall 25% in Manteca and Lathrop another. This is the thing which I'm keep hearing. I just want to hear around that. What do you think about it?
What I can say is it is very, very difficult to say what is the absolute trend difference between one city or one neighborhood with another city or another neighborhood, because there are so many factors which can drive how that city or neighborhood behaves at any given point of time, right? So agagi it's very difficult. For example, Manteca anta helidri, Manteca and all those cities nearby had a boom because of remote work, and that remote work is going away. That boom is not there, and homes are not attracting buyers from Silicon Valley, and existing homeowners are also finding it difficult to move back. So that is specific to Manteca, given what happened in the past few years. So munde ಡೌನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಆದಾಗ ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಸೊ we do not have, or we cannot predict what is going to be the dip or growth of a city. But instead of doing that, you look at the average growth rate for any city over a long period and see over long period what is the growth rate. It may dip 5% next year, but in 10 years, what can you expect to happen in that city? I think that's a better way to assess as an investor than whether it will fall 5% or 10%. In the long term, if Mantika appreciates by 5% or 4%, maybe another city like any of these three cities we talked about appreciates at 6.5 or 7%. In between, the volatility may be different for each city. Okay.
Thank you, Girish. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರೀಸನ್ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ there was a I think in after pandemic 2021 there was a lot of boom in mountain house, right? People bought it for 1.2 1.3 million. Now I think once it start going downwards, they end up selling for 800 with a 500k loss. One of my friend did that. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಡೌನ್ಫಾಲ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾನ್ ರೋಮನ್, ಡ್ಯಾನ್ವೆಲ್, ಪ್ಲೆಸೆಂಟನ್ ಕಡೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್. ಆಸ್ ಎನ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, you are right. I mean, Dublin, San Ramon, or Pleasanton has a different dynamics in terms of the city itself, right? Why people come and live here compared to Mountain House or other cities out there. So that drives the volatility here. It's more resilient because the factors for people to buy homes is not based on just the price like it was in, or it is, or it was in Mountain House, or just a scenario like it was in Mantika or Lathrop, right? It was price plus scenario there. Scenario was remote work. Whereas Dublin, San Ramon, and Pleasanton have different reasons why people want to live here. Schools, accessibility to South Bay or San Francisco, BART connection, right? More matured as a city. It has all the amenities you need, etc. So ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು ಬಿಡೋದು is not a ತಾತ್ಕಾಲಿಕ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಜನಗಳು ಮನೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. For me, the other cities, the reason to buy are not as broad as it is in the Tri-Valley. The reasons are very narrow. Like in Mountain House, when it started attracting people, it was purely the price. In Mantika, Lathrop, it was the price and also the remote work, which contributed to, excessive buying. I call Mantika and Lathrop as the Austin of Bay Area. Right? That's what happened in Austin.
Good way. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Last question. Girish ಅವರೇ, ಒಂದು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನು. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಜಾಬ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಒಂದು ರೀಸನ್ ಆಯಿತು, ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿ ವೆದರ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ರೀಸನ್, ಲೈಕ್ ಇದು ಫೈರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಅರ್ಥಕ್ವೇಕ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಫಿಯರ್ ಎನಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್, ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಡೌನ್.
That can happen in specific neighborhoods, especially those communities which are closer to wooded areas, on hilly areas. Initially, many years ago, it was happening only specific to a particular neighborhood because something happened there. But recently, in the past few years, because of so many natural disasters, especially related to fire, in California I'm talking. Now every place which is closer to wooded area is considered a high risk area, even though nothing might have happened in terms of fire in that neighborhood. But it has become a high risk area. Getting insurance is difficult. So I mean, homeowners insurance, and that is contributing to homes not selling. And lot of, and or the insurance prices have increased. That has increased the cost of ownership. So ಈಗ ಏನಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಫೈರ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ just relegated to one or two specific areas where fires happened in the past. Anything related to wooded areas or closer to such fire-prone areas is considered high fire risk.
ಗಿರೀಶ್ ದೀಪಕ್ ಇದು ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ಈಗ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು ಬರೀ ಬಿಲ್ಟ್ ಹೌಸನ್ನ ತಗೊಳೋದು. ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಎ ವೇ ಫಾರ್ ಅಸ್ ಟು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಎ ಲಾಟ್? ಈಗ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಲಿ ಸೈಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ.
Yeah.
ಸೊ ಆ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಇದೆ. You can buy lots. Again, the dynamics of what happens in India versus here is different.
Okay.
Indiadali, because of India is 1/3 the size of America.
ಹೌದು.
Okay, and we have 4 times the population of America. Okay, so we are 12 times more denser than America. So there are more people for a given square footage in India than in America, which means land is high premium there.
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್.
Unlike here. Yeah.
ದಟ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರೂ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಸರೌಂಡಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹುಡುಕ್ದಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಈಗ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟೋಣ ಅಂತ ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಫೈಂಡ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಂತ. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ರೈ ವ್ಯಾಲಿಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ವೈ ಐ ವಾಸ್
Yeah, less options because these 3 cities are almost all matured cities. It is not an upcoming city, right? Maybe 15 years, 20 years ago, if you had come to Dublin, you would have found a lot of land available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Girish, Rajni, continuing on Deepak's question, land inquire ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ do you have a particular process, like where to begin when you're beginning to purchase one?
Depends ಯಾವ type of land, Rajni avare, and what is the purpose and
same question as Deepak, right? Constructing the house eventually or owning the land for either selling for an apartment or something someday.
Yeah, again, let me break down your question. Okay, you can buy a land because you want to just land banking anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, right? ಮನೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ತೊಗೊಂಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಿಟ್ಟುಬಿಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 20 ವರ್ಷ. Okay, over the period of 20 years it will appreciate, you sell it and make profit. That's one goal. Second, ನೀವು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು you want to construct your own homes, right? Some of them may be mixed. I'm not saying there's only one specific goal, but it could be possible, right? You want to build your own home. So then comes the question of, okay, where you want it to be. Do you find that location or city or neighborhood conducive for you to live? Maybe you want a community feeling. Does it have that community feeling? Maybe you want accessibility to certain other locations from that area. Adella barutte goals. Then comes third in apartment and to sell it to somebody who will construct apartment anta. Yeah, again, that is again based on the fact, like, is that city or neighborhood where building a condo or an apartment is going to generate enough buyer demand, right? ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು can come with different goals. Based on those goals, we can figure out like what will work best for you. And then what will work best for you under which city or which neighborhood or which location will work best for you. Once we have identified those locations, then comes the question of, okay, what is available there? What is the price point? Is that within your budget? Does it meet your investment goals if you have an investment aspect to it? And then, take the steps of, finding the right place for you and purchasing it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, if anybody, if we want to have a plan for a separate session with Girish, you can always reserve some slots with him and then have a deeper discussion.
Absolutely. Anytime. ಅದನ್ನು ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಕಾಯೋದು ಬೇಡ. ಎವ್ರಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೀಚ್ ಔಟ್ ಟು ಮೀ ಅಟ್ ಎನಿ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ because I think that helps me to learn rather along with me giving some guidance.
Yeah. Okay. One quick question for Marilyn. Last question maybe.
Marilyn, are you there?
Yeah. Marilyn, you said we can go for a loan with options are like 1 or 2 years, 1 or 2% less interest rate, Are you talking about adjustable market or any other option is there?
What I'm referring to is a 30-year fixed loan with a temporary rate buy down feature. So like I can't remember which one of you had mentioned like earlier, there are like new home construction that have an introductory rate of as low as like 3% or something like that. So what it is basically you the credits coming from a party involved in the transaction prepay for the use of a lower rate initially for the first 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, depending on how it's structured. But the loan itself is still a 30-year fix and will eventually come to the main rate that you lock in at. So for example, 6.5%, you know. And so you'll benefit from a lower payment and lower rate for 1, 2, 3 years, right? Based on the structure of it. And then after that, you'll start paying at 6.5 if you do not refinance.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I got it. See,
Thank you,
basically,
Marlene.
so vendor options.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Doing a quick time check. We are at noon, 5 past noon. One last question before we wrap.
Yeah, I do have a question. I think Marlene mentioned that employment from India is considered while we are applying for a mortgage over here. So in similar terms, is money from India also can be considered?
So how I understand it is that the monies have to first be here and have to be seasoned to be able to be used in the transaction. However, there is a credit granted towards experience, educational experience, employment experience from abroad.
Marlene, can I add to that?
Sure.
Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think
Sure.
if you can get the money as gift from your parents or anybody else, that need not be seasoned, right?
Depending on the program, right? So if the funds are sent directly to escrow, then there isn't a requirement to then prove the source of the funds and the seasoning of them. That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I meant, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What I
Great.
understood is the money can be sent through the parents as a gift, and if it can directly hit the escrow account, then a seasoning is not needed. Then we can go ahead with the purchase. But the escrow account is only created after the purchase, right? So I'm wondering, isn't it a catch
No,
20?
escrow account is created once you get into contract, not after purchase. You're talking
Yeah,
about
correct,
escrow for
correct.
purchase.
But we are talking about eligibility, right? Just like employment is an eligibility, like you know, 2 years if you have worked in India and then come over here, that is taken care. Similarly, I was thinking if I have money for in India that is there, can that be considered is
No,
bought?
they can consider it as a gift money at the pre-approval process, right? Depending
Yeah,
upon the loan program you qualify, you say where your funds are coming from, and you can say you are getting X number of dollars from gift as a gift from your parents, right? So the loan lender will look into that and pre-approve. Once they pre-approve you, you can start doing your searches, home searches, and once you get into contract, you prepare for transfer of the fund directly to escrow, just like you do with your own funds here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Girish. Thank you, Marlene. Our community is definitely better situated with access to experts like you. Thank you very much for sharing your time and your expertise with the rest of the community. Thank you all for attending this webinar. Hopefully, this is useful. Look out for more informational sessions like this through the year. The next one would be on financial planning and readiness for various life stages that you are in. There'll be more on hands-on teen and late teen workshops that we plan to conduct, for preparing them for life. So there'll be more and more that'll be coming in through as well. Thank you all. Any parting, Girish?
ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಮೊದಲು TVKS ಸಂಘಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳು. ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಓನರ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಮೀ is really commendable. It just makes everything so valuable for the community and for somebody like me. ಅದಲ್ಲದೆ ನೀವು ಪ್ರವೀಣ್, ನವೀನು ಮತ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ, ಆಲ್ ದ ಪೇನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಟೈಮ್, ನಾಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್, ಫಾರ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ. ರಿಯಲಿ ಅಪ್ರಿಷಿಯೇಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್. ನೀವಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಡೆಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಥರ್ಡ್, ನೀವು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಯು ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅದರ್ಸ್, ವಿ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಟು ಪೀಪಲ್ ಅಂತ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಎ ಮಾಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಟು ದಟ್. TVKS is not expecting anything from community, but just a membership every year, annual membership. I think for family membership, ಎಷ್ಟು Praveen, how much does it cost? $50. It's not anything to worry about. ಸೊ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವು ಯಾರು ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ವೋ, ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಆಗಿ. ಅದರಿಂದ TVKS is not making any money. It just helps the machine keep running. And then thanks to Marlene for taking time and being here. We appreciate all the information you provided, and I'm sure at the end of this 1.5 hours, people are walking back with more knowledge than what they had before.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.